Hello and welcome to the third rail. If you follow the channel, you might have seen a couple of videos about a temporary Märklin layout I am currently working on. If you haven't, I strongly recommend you watch the other videos in the series accessible via the little card at the top of the screen now. Since the last episode in the series, I've had the opportunity to do a few running sessions. All went very smoothly, and the layout has been working as designed, with 7 trains running around the main line, setting each other in motion. So far, so good. So what happens if I want to run less trains? Well, I've established that I can run a single train, provided nothing else is on the layout. The train will find a path along the main line without any issue. Anything more than 1 and less than 7 is a bit of a challenge at the moment. I had installed some manual controls in the guise of Wi-Fi switches, which are controlling all the signals and turnouts manually. But these only allow me to intervene in case of an issue, and don't really allow me to operate the layout in a manual fashion. And this is due to the fact that all signals along the main line and some turnouts are controlled by the trains themselves when they go over certain track sections. So if we look at a standard block setup on the layout, we have a signal. This signal is followed by a contact track, which is itself followed by a switching track, either close by or not too far away, depending on the distance available in the preceding block. So in this case, the train would pass the signal, go over the contact track. This will set the signal back to red. The train would then carry on its journey, reach the next switching track or contact track, and that would trigger a signal to green in the preceding block. So in this case, we would have to look on the other side of the layout. At the end of the station, it could be one of the 2 signals there. These automatisms are active all the time, so I'm going to try and move a train from one of the stations to the bypass loop to illustrate. So we're moving, the train will enter the bypass, but as you can see, the train behind it was released and is now entering the station, and this train is releasing another train on the other side of the layout that we were looking at before to illustrate the workings of a block. And this in turn released the train in the second station in the middle. We see a train going on the bridge, and this one releases another train behind it. So not really a behavior I want if I just needed to move a train from one part of the layout to the other. So we need to find a way to disable those automatisms so that I'm able to safely run trains, because as we can see, there's a potential for collisions. So if we look at the old Märklin track plan books, which had a few layouts that were meant to be run in fully automatic mode, there's some instructions at the bottom of the plans for playing with the set, which is the same as manual mode. As we can see, Märklin recommends to simply go around the layout and unplug the contact and switching tracks. So let's see what this would mean for my layout. All the contact and switching track sections are marked in blue. There's quite a few of them, I think about 30. That's quite a lot. Now, if we remove the ones in the industry area, which have nothing to do with the mainline automation, we're left with 21. That's at least 21 cables. In fact, there's much more than that because some tracks are connected to 2 or 3 things. This basically would equate to dismantling my entire block system as well, which is not great and very cumbersome, of course. So I'm going to try and see if we can't simplify the process. First of all, I've got a large amount of contact tracks which are connected to relays which do not have anything to do directly with setting trains in motion or stopping them. So I'm going to take these contact tracks out of the equation and see what I have left with. So I've got 14 tracks left. These have all to do with either stopping trains, so setting signals to red, or starting them, so setting signals to green. I'm only interested in preventing trains from departing. I don't mind if the signals are set back to red every time a train passes it. So I'm going to take away the contact tracks that control the red aspect of the signals. And I'm left with 8 tracks. So using the same methodology as the Gleisplanbuch we saw earlier, to prevent trains from departing, I'd have to go around the layout, locate the relevant switching and contact tracks, and simply unplug them. It's quite easy and it would certainly work, but that's a bit cumbersome. After all, we're only talking about interrupting current path momentarily, so that's switching something on or off. And that's an excellent job for one of those little relays we used in other parts of the series, in my opinion. So, I have a few of those relays in the spares box, but for now let's have a look if I don't need anything else. On the layout there are 2 turnouts that control the entrance to the station. These will need to be also temporarily disabled, as I want to specify which siding the trains will enter during manual operation. So having had a closer look, I end up with 2 pairs of 4 circuits which are conveniently located in close proximity to each other at each end of the stations at the top of the layout. So I need some kind of contraction that can switch 4 circuits on and off at once, and I need to do this twice. So I will knock together a little contraption made out of a couple of those cheap relays I mentioned earlier, a bit of perf board, and it will be controlled by a few spare wireless switches I still have. And after a bit of soldering and assembly, we have a wireless switch connected to a board with 2 relays, which in turn control 4 circuits as required. So let's give this a try in practice. We're back in layout view, and I'm going to start by moving the tanker train along the mainline bypass, which I'm pointing to with my stick at the moment. So I'm going to give the train a green signal to send it on its way. It should go under the bridge on its way, and this is where a switching track is located that would normally release the train that's waiting behind the station. So we're going to see if anything moves. That's it, the train goes under the bridge, enters the bypass, and there is no movement behind it. So that's working as designed. Excellent. So I've set up another board at the other end of the station for the circuits over there. So I'm going to give the train that's waiting behind the station a green signal now, and it will take the place of the tanker train. Excellent. Now that train should have released the passenger train that's currently located next to the tanker train, and we see that there's no movement, which is exactly what I wanted. So I'm going to send the tanker train on its way to take the spot left vacant by the train that just entered the station. There we go. We're back to a situation where I can resume automated operations. As the boards were working properly, I then went and did some modifications to the control dashboard I put together to control my wireless switches. It's called M-track Reloaded. There's a little card at the top of the screen if you're interested. So I've added a function to switch the mode of operation from automatic to manual. This function does two things. First of all, it sets the boards to the right position based on the chosen function. And secondly, when I switch to manual, it will go off and set all the signals on the main line to a red aspect. This will stop all the traffic and allow train to reach the next signal before I start operating the layout manually. So let's see this in practice. I'm going to switch the layout to manual. That's it, the signals are set to red. The train still moving will reach the next signal. I can then try and pull a train into the bypass. That's working. And then I can try and move another train into the station. That's working as well. Everything else stays standing. So, as you can see, I can move each train individually without setting another one in motion. Excellent! Exactly what I wanted. Should make life a bit easier. Of course, before switching back to automatic, I need to ensure that the trains are in the right position, and switching back to automatic will not set any train in motion. I need to trigger one of the signals on the main lines. But so far, so good, I would say. I have set up this functionality in a way the rest of the dashboard is set up. It's modular, so it will simply be an option I can reuse when I build another layout. For now, I think the function will be very useful and make the testing, for example, much easier when I prepare running sessions. We've reached the end for today. For now, I'd like to thank you very much for watching. It's very much appreciated. I'd also like to thank the existing and recent subscribers to the channel. I'm still surprised that people are interested in my production, so much so that they subscribe to the channel and sometimes give me a like. It's very rewarding and keeps me going. Thanks very much again. Bye for now.